It's great to be back again. Thank you so much. Before we do the rounds of applause, let's get Robin on, and so, because I know Pooch gets a little bit excited, don't you, when people are clapping?
I've heard him already.
Yeah. Brilliant, thank you.
So you sit on the end here.
Okay, so now to discuss how technology can improve people's lives. Again, just a small kind of topic for discussion. Please welcome to the stage Liz Williams from BT, Ben Towers, a tech entrepreneur, Eva Dixon from The Verge. We've got also Simone Enefor-Doy, I hope I have pronounced your surname correctly, from Lifelites, and Robin Christopherson from AbilityNet. Quiet round of applause. Perfect. Okay, so let's do what we. Did I miss somebody?
Adam.
Ben. Oh, sorry, Adam from Freeformers. I beg your pardon. My eyes skipped over that. Right. Bless you. Right. Okay. Well, let's do the same as we did before. Robin, if we could start with you, as you're sitting in the hot seat nearest to me. If you just let people know a little bit about yourselves, although I'm sure everybody in this room already knows who you are. And how you think technology can improve people's lives.
Thank you very much, Kate. So, yeah, Robin Christopherson. I've been with AbilityNet for 20 years now. And the thing that is about technology helping people's lives... Shush.
We've got no hope. The stage is completely stolen every time.
I mean, AbilityNet is all about what we're talking about here, which is technology impacting people's lives. So AbilityNet's pan-disability, pan-technology charity. So for 20 years, I've been really lucky to be able to be, neck deep in technology, how to adjust people's computers, what specialist or other mainstream technologies are out there that can help people reach their full potential. So I've been absolutely steeped in the good side of technology for 2 decades.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm just keeping the little one quiet here. Liz, if we can move on to you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Williams. I lead the tech literacy programme at BT. We have a goal to help 5 million young people thrive in the new technology world that we live in. And actually, I think this is a great panel title, because what is technology if it's not about people? Ultimately, it's the combination of the amazing tech and human ingenuity. And I think that's exactly what the last panel showed us. What 3 words, that would not be there unless there was just this amazing idea and people that decided to take the technology and run with it. So our activity is all about... I feel like I'm on... I feel like I'm on Steve Wright's Our Tune, I'm showing my age now, but you kind of, those of you that know it will. But our program is how do you inspire all young people to really understand the role that technology plays in their lives? So they're not just consuming technology, but they're actually able to create with it and become, and I'm now going to hand over to Ben, become awesome people like Ben who just do great things with tech.
So my name's Ben Towers. I run a marketing company that I exited from last year. Along doing that, I learned basically how to run a company and how to apply tech within that. So 26 staff, we went from working on campaigns like launching the Alexa right down to local companies. And along the way, I then had a chance to talk at conferences, invest in companies, and basically have that sort of knowledge around tech and see how that's going, but also then have the chance to work on platforms to try and help them sort of re-angle. And then now I'm finishing that company, I'm now working in the healthcare space, trying to find a way to bring technology for good actually into that. So that's like my main focus now.
Hi, my name's Eva. I'm the COO of Verge magazine. Verge magazine is the UK's largest online student magazine. We set up about 8 years ago as an alternative to the other student magazines, which at that stage were all in print, and they were sort of go get that job and how to feed your flatmates for a £5 and just the boring sort of studenty type thing. So it is lifestyles, entertainment, it's things going on in young people, not just students' lives. But also what we try to do is get lots of interviews and conversations with people like Ben, and young entrepreneurs, people that work for companies that are just high achievers, really excelling in their field, just to provide some inspiration for lots of young people. And that sort of links with the theme. And to answer your question, technology, and I certainly don't feel like I know as much about tech as anyone else on this panel. I'm certainly much more on the people side of things. But our technology and our online platform enables us to inspire young people, and that certainly must be the first step in using Tech for Good, is to actually get that inspiration and have these young people thinking, yes, I can influence change.
It's interesting you say, I probably don't know as much about technology as the rest of the panel. You're more about people, but I'm hearing again and again and again that technology isn't a platform thing anymore. It's not a hardware thing. It is about the people. It's about culture more than anything. So it probably makes you more qualified than the rest of us who are utter geeks. Right, Simone.
Hello, my name's Simone Enefor-Doy, and I'm Chief Executive of a small charity called Lifelites, and we provide specialist technologies to enhance the lives of children in hospices. And I think this question is very pertinent to our work, because these are young people with a multitude of different disabilities. They have shortened lives, and the technology can be applied to ensure that they can join in with activities around them for as long as it is possible. So whether it's communicating, whether it's joining in with arts and music, whether it's actually being able to use technology when they wouldn't be able to use any other types of be involved in any other types of activities, and to be able to have a social life and also to be able to do things for themselves that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So I think technology has infinite possibilities to do bad, but as you said here on the rest of the panel, you put people together with technology and we can do a huge amount of good to young people with short lives in hospices.
Yeah, it can be a real enabler. I see that again and again, and I do a lot of work with special effect. Those of you know, I'm an ambassador for them, and we'll always talk about them when I can. But again, it just brings to have that level of independence for people who perhaps are not at that stage of their life where they feel like they've got any control. It just makes a huge difference to them, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Whether it's gaming, playing with your brothers and sisters, relaxing with your families at what is often a very difficult time for them all, technology has the ability to help with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Adam, apologies again. We have saved the best till last.
I like what you did then. Thank you. My name's Adam Freeman. I'm co-founder of a business called Freeformers. We're a profit and purpose business. So our mission is to create a digital economy for all by building the future workforce. Fundamentally, we do believe that the future of work is a combination of how technology augments us as human beings. So we work with lots of large employers, helping them develop the right skills inside their organization to make them successful in a digital economy. And we also train young people for free through our foundation, because we're trying to rebalance the economy so that actually technology is for all and not leaving less advantaged people behind, which is certainly what's happening at the moment. And then last week, or 2 weeks ago, we announced a partnership with Facebook, where we're launching large-scale free digital learning programs across Europe to try and help as many citizens as possible feel that they can be part of the digital economy.
Really, Adam, it's kind of. Do you agree that it's a culture? Technology is now a culture issue, particularly for business. When you talk about digital transformation, there is a culture shift that you have to make sure that everybody is on board with to bring everyone along. Are you finding that in your work more now?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I think it goes define culture, define skills. There's lots of definition work to be done, but even at the sharpest end, you put new tools and systems into large-scale organizations and expect people to change what they do every day, and they won't. And you see that. I've seen that for years, having led corporates myself, to the other extreme for society, where actually the future of work is, I think it was described to me beautifully. The earlier industrial revolutions meant that man's working lives went from essentially from hands to head. So the agricultural revolution, industrial revolution went from our hands, then the information revolution went to our heads. And now actually you can stream access to all information at any point you ever want it. It's about hearts. And so what's the human being's role and collaborating? So we have a whole philosophy around it's who you are, it's how you do things, how you work with others, and then there's tools that help. And the tools tech bit are down here. And we all need to learn the basics in that, and we definitely need coders, but actually there's a whole load of other stuff that's really important in that world.
So I love that. So we've gone from the age of hand to head to heart. So now it's within us. It's okay. And what kind of skills do you think? We're talking about how technology is going to improve people's lives. Now, anybody who knows technology in the workplace knows that it has a potential to improve your working life. What kind of skills do you need to teach to make sure that the people you want to get on board with that concept and that idea are actually do so willingly?
I suppose at the broadest level, it's about mindset. It's about always wanting to learn. Again, one of the challenges in the education system is we've taught young people to sit and be told what to learn and regurgitate and memorize. And actually, life is about how you continue to teach yourself new things. So having the confidence. So a lot of this is about life skills, they're not tech skills. So it's just having the personal confidence to think, I haven't done that before, but I'm going to have a go. And then how do I collaborate and communicate with others so that we can do something together that's more powerful than if I do it on my own? And again, they sound quite nebulous, but there are hard skills in all of those things that can be taught.
Yeah. Ben, you clearly were not somebody who just sat in a classroom and got taught things out of a book, as Femi also, and as we see again and again with the young pioneers at these awards. What do you think is it about yourself that gives you the drive and that, makes you different from people like me who just sat and tried to learn facts from the books and failed?
I think everybody's got a drive. It's about how you unlock it and how you find it. And I think that's where, I don't want to keep bringing this up, but where the education system maybe has its flaws in the sense of trying to spark that drive. We live in a world where your mobile phone is everything. People like me, you've grown up with my phone in my pocket, and then the second we go to learn, we're taken in a new environment, into a new space, to then be told this is how you need to learn. And it's trying to make that a lot more on par with each other, I'd say, to try and help people almost feel more comfortable, but also actually be able to learn more. And curiosity for me was a big thing. The fact of you'd read something in a textbook, you'd read something, and that was what school wanted to tell you. And then I'd then go, yeah, but what about this or what about that? And I think that was what made me start the company and start doing work, because actually I wanted to do more and I didn't want to just stop to where the textbook page ended. And so that sort of curiosity to want to go and do more and want to find out this fact, I want to find out this information, led to start the company.
There are so many young people now who, they, like you yourself, brilliantly curious, and the internet, I suppose, brings a lot of freedom to explore knowledge in your own way. But you're very much about what you can do for other people. Now, I don't want to be, I'm not sort of doing a false kind of modesty and talking myself down, but when I was a young person, I was also curious, I was also bright, but it was much more about me. It was about, how I could please me or how I could improve my life. And I've become a better person as I've got older. But do you think in general young people perhaps are less self-aware and self-centered, and perhaps maybe what's the cause of that?
Definitely. If you look at some of the companies which are doing well at employing young people, all of those have a massive CSR arm. And by CSR, I'm not talking about just chucking money into other things and leaving it. It's actually getting the staff involved. And that's proven because when we live in a world now where politics has got all its things happening, all these different things are happening in the world. And I think because of the internet, we have access to it a lot easier. And that I believe that's driving change in people's minds, because actually we're now seeing every day, we're seeing the effects of war in different countries, we're seeing the effects of famine, we're seeing all these things which are happening, which is now leading to people to think, actually, how can I solve it, or how can I get more involved? And so for me, that's changing that mindset of especially younger people, which is now leading to social change, and that whole social cause being a bigger sort of talking point, which obviously is leading to better, good for everybody else, but it is meaning that companies are having to change of how they adapt to appeal to that as well. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we get the right balance as well within the world, because we can't do one or the other.
So Liz, the connected world is raising social awareness. This is fundamentally changing our society from a head society to a heart society. companies like BT have a massive role, surely, to play in that, because you are one of the people who gives us connection.
We sure do, hopefully.
No pressure then.
But there's a couple of things actually that have been said in the room that I'd quite like to pick up on. The first is about the education system. So one of the big programmes that we work with is called Barefoot Computing. It's a partnership between BT and the British Computing Society. And it's all about how do we bring computational thinking alive in the classroom. And what we found with that programme, by the way, it's reached the teachers of 1.5 million kids. So we're pretty confident that it's getting there. We did some research last year with Ipsos Mori, and what that showed is where you do bring computational thinking technology into the classroom through plugged and unplugged activities. It's not all about just computers. What you saw was an improvement in creativity and problem solving. Teachers came back and told us that. But they also said it helped with literacy and numeracy. And the reason that we are absolutely committed to our tech literacy programme, which interestingly, when we first kicked it off in 2015, we talked about building a culture of tech literacy. And the number of people at the time that when I said, oh yes, well my job's about making a culture change about how people view technology, they'd just be like, she's away with the fairies, this woman? What is she talking about? This isn't a cultural thing. This is just a skills thing. It's skills, isn't it, Liz? It's digital skills. And I'm like, no, it's not about digital skills. It's about living in a society where technology is at the heart of pretty much most things we do. And it's about us having to have the same skills that we have with technology as we do, valuing it in the same way we do English and maths in the past. And I think that's a really important point. And just finally, just on your point about the education system, as a mother of somebody who's dyslexic, one of my biggest bugbears is this whole thing about how you train to repeat. And actually, dyslexic people are incredibly creative. And what happens is they come the other side of the education system and suddenly realise there's a whole world out there where their skills are valued and their different mindset is valued. But actually, they've got to get through 18 years of being told that they've got a disability because they think differently. So that's one of my personal bugbears. Happy to talk about anybody about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is it's funny. I was speaking with somebody. I think it was actually at this event last year about the idea of people who are on the spectrum. They have a different mindset, and actually, what was the organisation's name? They're actually, they're trying to place people in companies, because to have somebody who's on that autistic spectrum and the way that they think can actually show you the holes in your operation. So that can be, they're almost mentally enabled rather than disabled.
On that case, we're doing a huge amount of work at BT. Our security arm, we proactively look for people that are on spectrum. One of the programmes that my team run is we do a lot of work to help young people transition into work, and working with organisations like the work Freeformers do to give them experience. But actually, we've been working with the National Autistic Society trying to bring some of those young people in and giving them a bespoke work experience. And we've got more than a few now working across our business. And what we find is when they come in and they're in the right job for their skills, they thrive in a way that somebody who's considered mainstream, they exceed their performance. So it is about understanding the individual and what they bring, and then finding the right role for them. And I think we're going to see a much more inclusive society as a result of that.
If you want the name of that agency, by the way, who place people on the autism spectrum, tweet me. It's gone from my mind right now, but I've got it at home. Robin, it brings us interestingly, do you work in inclusion with AbilityNet? We talk about whether or not people with disabilities are catered for and are looked after. And maybe even the word disabled needs to be dropped, right? Because it has very negative connotations and makes people think about people in different ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of head scratching and, diversity of opinion within even the disability community as to what's a good name. And I think that is all a side issue, really. The main thing is that people need to appreciate that diversity is a good thing, as we've been hearing about here. Diversity within the workforce, within any team, is a really, really good thing. And there's a definite awakening to the appreciation of that fact. Now, inclusion and disability are absolutely key to what we do. And technology is probably the single most enabling or empowering factor that can help sort of level that playing field. But whatever you call disability, whatever the name, whatever the label, which obviously can be quite problematic, that you put on somebody, technology can now be used by people in a really broad and extreme set of environments. Ben was mentioning about the fact we all have phones in our pockets. Absolutely. And we're using them with our minds, and we're also using them with our hearts. We love the technology. But because we're using them absolutely everywhere, we're using them in very extreme environments. So you're juggling your phone one-handed. It's a bright sunny day with the sun shining on your phone screen. We don't all have massive sort of phablet phones quite yet. There are so many instances where every one of us are temporarily disabled or impaired on a daily basis. So accessibility actually is no longer for disabled people. So inclusive design is a much better way of looking at it, because accessibility for those disabled people over there is like a bolt-on exercise, and when push comes to shove, something that's bolted on can be dropped off, and we're still at 95+% of websites out there that aren't accessible even to the very base level of single A. So I'm very much excluded. You know, my heart's in it, but I'm not able to participate in the internet. So let's not think about it as a niche consideration. Let's think about it for every single one of you guys using a phone on a daily basis in extreme environments, and that should really then get buy-in, and people should start thinking about things at every stage in any project that they have.
Absolutely. And in many ways, when people don't make their websites inclusive and accessible, they're kind of idiotic, aren't they? Because it's like a large portion of society who perhaps are among the biggest adopters of technology as well. So.
And disabled people in particular are absolute fanatics when it comes to technology, because I said it's a really empowering thing. So they are going to be your greatest advocates as well. We've mentioned CSR. If you can do things in an inclusive way, it's going to make it better for every single one of your users. But the disabled people in particular will be disproportionately overjoyed. And
they'll be your biggest advocates, Can we have more headlines like that, please? Because that, that it makes good business sense. Eva, let's talk a little bit about education, because I know that's sort of, the area that you really know about. I mean, we've got the 3 R's at the moment. Is it about time we added a 4th R? Like, I don't know what you'd call it, rad coding or something? I don't know.
Might need some working on, but absolutely. But it's not just about code. As we've learned today, it's, we keep coming back to the same point. It's about people. And I think you made an absolutely fantastic point that the reason that young people are more into helping others than helping themselves is because they're more aware of the world around them. When I was younger, you get the news from the 6 o'clock news to come on the BBC, or the newspaper if you were going to read it, and that's about it. Like now you can get news from everywhere. Just logging on to Facebook, you know what's going on, and you see the kids in Syria and Libya, and you feel like you need to do something and help. Why that has not been brought into the educational system yet, I don't know. And there are fundamental things in the curriculum that need to change. Every morning when kids come into school, spend the first half an hour that you have at registration discussing what's going on in the news. Yes, kids know, they hear about Trump and he's going to build a wall and he's got some odd things going on with Russia, but what about his policies? How is this actually affecting these people in America? What is going on in Syria at the moment? What are these children? Have that part of school, because not everyone's parents are going to teach them about it. And on top of that, on the, sort of the educational side, like for maths, I have a stepson who's 16. We are trying to learn how to work out the angles from 2 sides. I'm not sure when he's ever going to use that. But we're spending time doing this, but he doesn't know what a tax return is. Yeah. And
you just say, Alexa, how do you work out the angles from 2 sides? She's going to say she doesn't know.
For help with that question, go to the help and feedback section of the Alexa.
But if I phrase the question correctly, I mean, that's the thing. It's almost how do you pose a natural language question to an AI would be a better thing to learn.
Well, exactly. We're deconstructing 17th century poetry, but half these kids that write to our magazine can't compose an email. There are fundamental things that need to be changed in the educational system. So there are things that you just have to learn, sort of the 3 R's, like you said, writing and whatever. But a political and cultural understanding, I think, is absolutely imperative for us to make a social change. Technology to me is the easy part. Young people love tech. Put anything in their hand that's technology, they will get on with it. It's putting that alongside the cultural and society part, which is really going to make a change for good.
I've never quite understood that 3 R's thing, you know, having the kind of like the backbone of our education system is basically a grammatically incorrect anagram. What are we telling kids? Simone, and again, your work, you know, we've spoken, you know, across the spectrum, and of course your work is with people, you know, young people who have got, you know, shattering life conditions and situations. How do you support the young people specifically in the hospices? What technologies are you seeing coming for the future as well in that respect?
Well, the main thing that I would say is that we're supporting these youngsters in looking at what are their abilities, providing them with technologies which can ensure that they can then join in with activities which other young people take for granted, really. And the things that we've been providing to date are all the things that a lot of people know about, and in discussions before this I've realised that a lot of people still don't know about, such as everybody knows the iPad, but do they know the potential for that to really open up a young person's life if they have limited physical abilities, limited abilities to communicate, and limited abilities to join in generally with life. Because the iPad is a piece of technology that can be taken off a desk and put onto your wheelchair tray and taken wherever you are in the hospice. And even if you can't get out of bed, you can still stay involved and in touch with your school and with your friends. It's terrific technology. It might be old hat to some of you now, but for the youngsters in hospices, it's life-changing. But there's other things like the magic carpet, which is terrific a piece of technology which really opens up the world to youngsters who are very restricted in their lives. So it projects an image onto the floor or onto your bedspread or onto your wheelchair tray that you can actually play with, you can join in with. So you can pop bubbles, you can kick up leaves, you can play football with your dad, or you can do maths games, whatever it is. And these are things that you wouldn't otherwise have been able to do. But the incredible eye gaze is really something which we have seen change the lives of young people in hospices. And we've had to look at it for our specific audiences because it is quite a unique audience in children's hospices. So we've looked at the type of software that's most suitable for them to use, and we've looked at things ensuring that we have a stand, which means that whatever angle the child sits at or lies at, they can still access the eye gaze. But the most important thing for us is actually those people who are delivering our technologies to the young people at the chalk face. And that is the incredibly innovative care staff that we work with. And we train them how to use the technology. We talk to them about the children that they work with so that we make sure that we get the right technologies to them. But it's the care staff who are delivering that technology and making sure that it's doing what it needs to do for those young people that they're working with. So it's giving them the opportunity to communicate. It's giving them the chance to say that they don't like marmalade or that they'd like to go to the loo, please, or to actually join in with music activities in the hospices, all the sorts of different activities that happen in the hospices that people just wouldn't believe in these happy places that you think are going to be morbid, but because of the care staff and the culture of the hospices, they make it the happiest place that you can be in a really quite dreadful situation. But it's the technologies which they say partner them in that care and in making those children's lives the best it can possibly be.
Yeah, and that really is truly the essence of Tech for Good.
It is. Just one last thing to say, we're at the pinnacle of communications in Britain, BT Tower, and for us, for the young people in the hospices, communication really is key. And I think we tend to forget because we have text and we have emails, and we tend to forget just how much communication is done through facial movements, through actions. And the young people that we work with at the hospices, they often don't have the ability to smile, or they don't have the ability to laugh, or to move, or to express themselves through their physical movements. And so giving them technologies which give them that opportunity to express themselves through music or art, or simply through speaking.
And that's life-changing from their parents as well.
Absolutely life-changing for their parents, yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. We are flat out of time. Thank you so much, my wonderful panellists, to Liz, to Ben, to Eva, Adam, Simone and Robin. Thank you very much to our wonderful signer. I hope it's not been too hard keeping up with this. And thank you, Alexa. Thank you.
That's it.